-1 quadrillion, -100 trillion, -30 trillion, -20 trillion, -10 trillion, -9 trillion, -8 trillion, -7 trillion, -6 trillion, -5 trillion, -4 trillion, -3 trillion, -2 trillion, -1 trillion, -900 billion, -500 billion, -300 billion, -200 billion, -100 billion, -30 billion, -21 billion, -20 billion, -12 billion, -11 billion, -10 billion, -9 billion, -8 billion, -7 billion, -6 billion, -5 billion, -4 billion, -3 billion, -2 billion and 1 million, -2 billion, -1 billion, -900 million, -500 million, -300 million, -200 million, -100 million, -30 million, -21 million, -20 million, -12 million, -11 million, -10 million, -9 million, -8 million, -7 million, -6 million, -5 million, -4 million, -3 million, -2 million, -1 billion, no, -10 million, -9 million, -8 million, -7 million, -6 million, -5 million, -4 million, -3 million, -2 million, -1 million, -900,000, -500,000, -300,000, -200,000, -100,000, -30 billion, -21 billion, no, -900,000, -500,000, -300,000, -200,000, -100,000, -30,000, -21,000, -20,000, -12,000, -11,000, -10,000, -9,000, -8,000, -7,000, -6,000, -5,000, -4,000, -3,000, -2,000, -1,000, -900, -800, -700, -600, -500, -400, -300, -200, -100, -35, -10, -9, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -1, negative, -10, -9, -8, -7, -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, -0.5, -0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.25, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 2.9, 3, pi, 4, 5, 6, 2 pi, 7, 8, 9, 3 pi, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 10T, 100.1, 100.5, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 140, 144, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 192, 199, 200, 201, 202, 203, 204, 210, 212, 214, 220, 222, 230, 240, 250, 260, 270, 280, 290, 300, 303, 310, 313, 320, 330, 340, 350, 360, 400, 404, 416, 420, 437, 450, 465, 490, 500, 505, 550, 600, 700, 800, 808, 900, 999, 1,000, 1,000, 1,001, 1,010, 1,100, 1,111, 1,200, 1,250, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 1,600, 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, 1,955, 1,998, 1,999, 2,000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2,100, 2,200, 2,222, 2,300, 2,400, 2,500, 3,000, 3,600, 4,000, 4,500, 4,900, 5,000, 5,050, 5,500, 6,000, 6,400, 7,000, 8,000, 8,100, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, 15,000, 16,000, 17,000, 18,000, 19,000, 20,000, 21,000, 22,000, 23,000, 24,000, 25,000, 26,000, 27,000, 28,000, 29,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, 97,104, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, 100, 100,500, 101,000, 110,000, 120,000, 130,000, 140,000, 150,000, 160,000, 170,000, 180,000, 190,000, 200,000, 204,000, 210,000, 220,000, 250,000, 300,000, 313,000, 400,000, 416,000, 437,000, 500,000, 500,000, 500, 600,000, 700,000, 800,000, 900,000, 900,000, 320, 999,000, 999,000, 999, 1,000,000, 10,000,000, 1,000,001, 1,001,000, 1,100,000, 1,200,000, 1,300,000, 1,400,000, 1,500,000, 1,600,000, 1,700,000, 1,800,000, 1,900,000, 2,000,000, 2,001,000, 2,100,000, 2,200,000, 2,500,000, 2,763,000, 3,000,000, 3,097,104, 3,600,000, 4,000,000, 4,500,000, 4,900,000, 5,000,000, 5,500,000, 6,000,000, 6,400,000, 7,000,000, 8,000,000, 8,100,000, 9,000,000, 9,097,104, 10,000,000, 11,000,000, 12,000,000, 13,000,000, 13,600,000, 14,000,000, 15,000,000, 16,000,000, 17,000,000, 18,000,000, 19,000,000, 20,000,000, 30,000,000, 40,000,000, 50,000,000, 50,000,000, 5,000, 60,000,000, 70,000,000, 80,000,000, 90,000,000, 97,000,000, 104,000, 100,000,000, 100,000,000 and 10,000, 100,000,000, 100,000, 100,000,000, 500,000, 101,000,000, 110,000,000, 120,000,000, 130,000,000, 140,000,000, 150,000,000, 160,000,000, 170,000,000, 180,000,000, 190,000,000, 200,000,000, 300,000,000, 313,000,000, 400,000,000, 500,000,000, 600,000,000, 700,000,000, 800,000,000, 900,000,000, 999,000,000, 999,999, 1,000,000,000, 10,000,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 10,000,000,000, 1,100,000,000, 1,200,000,000, 1,300,000,000, 1,400,000,000, 1,500,000,000, 1,600,000,000, 1,700,000,000, 1,800,000,000, 1,900,000,000, 2,000,000,000, 3,000,000,000, 4,000,000,000, 5,000,000,000, 6,000,000,000, 7,000,000,000, 8,000,000,000, 9,000,000,000, 10,000,000,000, 11,000,000,000, 12,000,000,000, 13,000,000,000, 14,000,000,000, 15,000,000,000, 16,000,000,000, 17,000,000,000, 18,000,000,000, 19,000,000,000, 20,000,000,000, 21,000,000,000, 22,000,000,000, 23,000,000,000, 24,000,000,000, 25,000,000,000, 15,000,000,000, 16,000,000,000, 17,000,000,000, 18,000,000,000, 19,000,000,000, 20,000,000,000, 21,000,000,000, 22,000,000,000, 23,000,000,000, 24,000,000,000, 25,000,000,000, 30,000,000,000, 40,000,000,000, 50,000,000,000, 58,000,000,000, 59,999,000,000, 999,999, 60,000,000,000, 70,000,000,000, 80,000,000,000, 90,000,000,000, 97,000,000,000, 104,000,000, 100,000,000,000, 100,000,000,000 and 10,000,000, 110,000,000, 100,000,000,000, 100,000,000,000, 100,000,000,000 and 10,000,000, 110,000,000,000, 120,000,000,000, 130,000,000,000, 140,000,000,000, 150,000,000,000, 160,000,000,000, 170,000,000,000, 180,000,000,000, 190,000,000,000, 200,000,000,000, 250,000,000,000, 300,000,000,000, 313,000,000,000, 400,000,000,000, 500,000,000,000, 500,000,000, 500,000, 580,000,000. 600 billion, 700 billion, 800 billion, 900 billion, 999 billion, 999 billion, 999 million, 999,999, 1 million. Oh my gosh, 30 billion, 30 trillion is coming. 1 trillion, 100 billion, 1 trillion and 1 trillion and 1 billion, 1 trillion and 10 billion, 1 trillion and 100 billion, 1 trillion and 200 billion, 1 trillion and 300 billion, 1 trillion and 400 billion, 1 trillion and 500 billion, 1 trillion and 600 billion, 1 trillion and 700 billion, 1 trillion and 800 billion, 1 trillion and 900 billion, 2 trillion, 2 trillion 500 billion, 3 trillion, 3 trillion 600 billion, 4 trillion, 4 trillion 500 billion, 4 trillion 900 billion, 5 trillion, 5 trillion 500 billion, 6 trillion, 6 trillion 400 billion, 7 trillion, 8 trillion, 8 trillion 100 billion, 9 trillion, 10 trillion, 11 trillion, 12 trillion, 13 trillion, 14 trillion, 15 trillion, 16 trillion, 17 trillion, 18 trillion, 19 trillion, 20 trillion, 25 trillion, 30 trillion, 40 trillion, 50 trillion, 58 trillion, 60 trillion, 70 trillion, 80 trillion, 90 trillion, 100 trillion, 500 trillion, 1 quadrillion, 2 quadrillion. Now guys, goodbye.